Hey guys, what's going on? It's Mayan here. I had a request to do some nightmare silos. So in this video, I will be doing Theta, PHI, and EX1, since I feel like those are the most deviant heavy ones. I will be using the build from last video, which is Corrosion, and I'll be using the Lone Wolf armor set. These are not speed runs. These are full clear runs. So I did all the bosses and I tried to kill all the ads, so all the elite enemies and whatnot, just to kind of show how to deal with everything. And I'm gonna be popping in here and there, just giving some little tricks and some insight to my thought process while I was doing these silos, which might help you, hopefully. And also, I just want to give a big thank you to Candy. She basically makes all the food for these runs, and she does a lot of farming, which helps me make ammo and whims. So I really appreciate it, and I wanted to give her a little bit of a shout out. But we'll get into it here, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So as you can see here, I got a phase ghoul, and you can see with the regular tungsten AP ammo, I'm only hitting it for like 1700, 1800 per shot. Once I switch over to that suppression ammo, I'm immediately hitting it for like 28k, 20k. So it's a big difference. Definitely worth grinding that Stardust ore and making that suppression AP ammo if you have the time. Once I get done with this phase ghoul, I go down the hall here and I have a void enemy. These void enemies are a lot easier for all weapons, I think. So you can switch back to your regular AP ammo for these. Another little trick that I use a lot is once you get the timing of their shots when they're trying to hit you with those little purple blobs, you can just, you know, move to the left, move to the right, and dodge them easily. So for this room here, you're going to want to take care of the poison sacks as quickly as possible because they do take a chunk out of your health. Just ignore the other enemies until you get these out of the way. Once you do get them all destroyed, you're going to have to deal with either a void balloon guy or another phase ghoul. I think I got lucky and got the void, but if you get the phase ghoul, you're probably going to want to switch to that suppression ammo if you have it. So for this boss, I bring the wolf out really quick just to give myself that extra shield. But I do like to save the wolf for when the Luminaras come out. When the Luminaras come out, I pull the wolf out, it takes aggro, and then I burn the Luminaras down as quickly as I can so that they're not messing with me when I'm trying to down the boss. Once they're gone, it's a pretty simple fight. You're just DPSing it down, basically. When the little floating things pop up, you're going to want to kill those really quick because they will heal the boss over time. But they are very squishy, so you should be able to kill them within a couple shots. Other than that, that's kind of it. Like, this boss is really easy. Not much to it. So for this next room, you're gonna have to deal with the poison sacks again. A trick that I like to use is just standing at the doorway here. If you don't go in there, you don't take damage. So you can take that left one out, that right one out, and sometimes you can even get that one in the far back before you go in. Once you get those, just run up the little pipe, and the last two should be in the middle. For the start of this last boss fight here, I like to use these pillars for cover when I'm taking care of all these little normal enemies. They're grouped up, so it shouldn't be too difficult to take them out, but if they start running at you, you can roll and web them up, and that'll give you a little bit of breathing room. These fireflies, in my opinion, are a pain in the ass. I always bring my wolf out just to take aggro. The problem is that they are hard to hit sometimes, and they do a lot of damage at range, so they can catch you off guard. When the boss spawns those little branches in that spawn the fireflies, I would recommend taking those out immediately so you don't get overwhelmed with all those little bugs. So the main thing with this boss is it's going to stomp down, and then there's going to be a wave that comes out, which does a lot of damage if it hits you. What I do to combat this is I sit on that ledge in the far side of the room. That way it can never hit me as long as I'm up there. However, it does do another attack where it slams down with both arms like you're about to see. And this one is a lot more dangerous because it spawns crystals that will hit you wherever you're at. Now, I think that you're supposed to be able to outrun these. However, I've had a lot of cases where I'll be arrow leaping midair and the crystals still hit me and down me. So the safest thing I've found to overcome this problem is bring in some spectrum generators, and right as he's slamming down with his hands, you can pop a spectrum generator, go invisible, and those crystals won't be tracking you. You really got to keep your eye on the boss though, because if you get caught off guard and those crystals hit you, you will probably go down. So up to this point, the silo has been pretty straightforward. You can see that I'm rolling around a lot to web up the groups of enemies that are coming at me. Something interesting about this little hallway before we go on to the next section is it can bug out, and you'll have everything dead, but it still won't unlock. So I don't know how to solve that problem. I usually just restart the silo. Another problem that I just realized with this silo is that my sanity is dropping really quickly. I think when I was in here, I didn't even realize my health was so low a couple times. So definitely keep an eye on that. Use your sanity gummies when you need to. And then obviously this room is a little problematic with this phase cool and all of these bubbles. You can see the phase cool just takes no damage with regular AP ammo. I would definitely recommend grinding that starter store and making some suppression AP ammo if you have the time. Other than that, the tactic I'm using is kind of going in the bubbles, doing some damage, and then arrow leaping out. Something else you can do is use these inner walls to kind of trap them inside. That way, if you start to take a lot of damage, you can run out to the other side of the wall, heal up, get a little bit of distance, and then go back in. It definitely makes it a little easier when you're kiting the groups around and when you're clearing up the trash on the outsides. So for the jellyfish lady, I like to come in here and take these luminaras out first. These ones are particularly annoying because they float around and they have the bubbles, so you have to constantly like chase them around, it feels like. I don't know why they designed it like this, but it is definitely annoying. So get them out of the way, and then it's pretty straightforward from there. She doesn't spawn any arbiters or anything on solo, so that shouldn't be a problem. But you will have to watch out for that poison, and she does spawn those icicles. If you have your wolf out, most of the time the icicles will go for the wolf. If you don't have the wolf out, then you're probably gonna have to like arrow leap away and try to avoid them the best you can. But other than that, it's a pretty straightforward fight. So something to keep in mind with corrosion specifically is that you're going to be doing less weapon damage per pellet the further away you are. So if you're really up close, you're probably going to be hitting like 4,000 per pellet. If you're further away, you're going to be hitting maybe even in the hundreds, like you can see here. So it's up to you how risky you want to play. If you want to get right up on her and do more damage, you can. I tend to keep my distance a little bit just because of those waves you just saw. If those hit you, they do a lot of damage, and I like to have time to react and jump over them if I need to. So for this last boss room, there's a lot of ads to deal with. I like to get them out of the way before I kill the sacks. That way I don't have to deal with the boss and the ads at the same time. It's worth noting that there can either be 2 phase ghouls, 2 void balloon guys, or 1 of each. The void balloon guy really isn't that big of a problem. The phase ghoul is a problem in my opinion. So once again, if you have that suppression AP ammo, you should probably switch to it. And obviously another problem for me anyway is those little fireflies. They fly overhead, they catch you off guard, they do a lot of damage. So take those out if you can. So one thing I like to do in this boss room is hop on the top of these train cars, especially with these bubble enemies, because you're still in the bubble, and if you look over the side, you can do damage to them while keeping yourself at a safer distance. This is especially helpful like with the big gluttons that spawn in, because you can shoot them like in the head. Every now and then they'll jump on top of the train car with you. But I still think it's beneficial because you're avoiding their stomps for the most part with the height that you get, and you are able to avoid the rest of the ads that are down on the ground below you. But once again, just staying elevated is key here. I feel like every time you see me take damage, I'm usually down on the ground. Being on top of the train cars, being on top of the boxes, on top of anything really helps keep you safe, especially since there's so many enemies that stomp on the ground and create those waves like the gluttons. And as you just saw there a second ago, Tombstone does an attack similar to what Mannheim does, where he'll smash the ground a bunch of times. That can be very hard to avoid if you're down on the ground and you get caught by that. So once again, just be cautious. Try to stay on the high ground if you can. So for this room, you can use these countertops to kite the enemies and keep distance by rolling and webbing them up with Weaver. As you can see, I have a big group of them here, which is perfect. I can just shoot into the group, take them all out at the same time, hopefully. A big problem with EX1 in general is when you kill these enemies, they're gonna drop these black puddles. If you stand in those, your sanity is gonna drop, and as you can see, my sanity is actually going down just by being in the vicinity, it seems like. So definitely make sure you have a lot of sanity gummies. If you're a chef, you could probably rock like a corn ale alongside your whimsical drink, or you know, whatever your food item is. But that's the biggest problem in general. Like right here, I don't even realize my health is getting so low, so definitely keep your eye on that. These Illuminaras are annoying. Try to take them out while you're kiting the other enemies. Weaver helps a lot with that. But yeah, other than that, this room's pretty straightforward. So this red light, green light room is pretty straightforward. Just get rid of the enemies before you can go on to the boss room. Do your best to keep your distance, use Weaver to web them up. The suppression AP ammo really helps with the phase ghoul you have in here. I will say that sometimes this room can be a little buggy, and you will still be able to move around even while the red light is going on. I don't know if that's by design or if it's a bug. I'm assuming it's a bug, but yeah, like I said, pretty straightforward. Okay, this boss is a bullet sponge. I don't really know any way around it. It's immune to power surge and most other status effects. I think unstable bomber, it's immune. And you gotta shoot the lights. Like, there's just really no way around it. It just takes a lot of ammo, and if your weapon doesn't have amazing range on it, then you're kind of screwed, because you can only do as much damage as your weapon allows within the distance that you're in. So I'm gonna speed up most of this. What's crazy is that this fight is like 16 minutes long and the rest of the silo was like 6 minutes. So I apologize for that. If I figure out a better way to kill this fool, then I'll let you know. It's definitely worth noting that you gotta take out those little electric towers. If you leave those up, then you're gonna be doing even less damage. So whenever you see those on, make sure you get rid of them as quickly as possible. And then obviously it goes without saying, I like to get rid of the Luminaras so I don't have to deal with them while I'm fighting the boss. But yeah, that's it. I'm gonna speed most of this up, and if you made it this far, I appreciate it. And if you have any ideas or requests for a future video, let me know.